everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. This is USA Global TV and Radio. Our show today is fashion, travel, and fitness. And our topic is styling, personal branding, and color psychology with Chen. I'm Dr. JACALYN KERBECK. I'm the president, founder, and chief listening officer here at our network, where we celebrate you, our team members, our guests, our sponsors, and we also celebrate elevated listening. If you're not sure what that is, please go to our website and you can learn more, usaglobaltv.com. The star of our show, the lovely DIANN Floyd BOEHM, has been traveling, and I really appreciate she is at her newest destination, joining us from Virginia in the United States. DIANN is not only the co-host of this show, but also the United Kingdom News and Culture, the Corner Bookstore. She's also been one of our expert presenters on Talking Heads. And of course, she is an elevated listener. She's an award-winning international author of children's books and young adults books. She's got books coming out every time I look around. Here's another book. She made an announcement yesterday. Let's bring her out and find out what she's been up to. And in addition to her work as an author, why she's passionate about fashion, travel, and fitness. Welcome, DIANN.
Hi, Dr. JACALYN. It's great to see you.
Thanks. It's great to see you too. Congratulations on your new home. I saw pictures of it. I didn't get to comment yet. It's beautiful.
Thank you. I feel very blessed, this small town girl growing up. And now we have a beautiful home in Texas, our main home, and now one in Virginia to be close to our grandson and the rest of our family who lives here. So
important to have role models like you and your husband for your family. It's really so meaningful. Thanks. So DIANN, you made an announcement yesterday about a new collaboration. Tell us about that, and then we'll get into fashion, travel, and fitness and bring out Claire.
Sure, I'll be happy to. I'm very excited. A publishing company has picked me up, and so I have been busy signing contracts with Nord's Triad, and it's these three amazing women, and they started out as authors actually, and decided, let's help other authors and build our own publishing company. So I'm very honored to be a part of that now. And I've signed to do 3 books with them so far. What do you think of that, Dr. JACALYN?
It's amazing. Like, I see books flying out of your head. It's just incredible. How many books do you have published now, DIANN?
There's so many. It's not that many when I think about all these great authors who have like 30 or 40, but I have 9 books published, and one young adult book is at the editing stage with OC Publishing Company right now. So hopefully by the end of this year, it will be the follow-up to Rise, A Girl's Struggle for More, which I'm really excited because, can you believe it, Dr. JACALYN? It's so amazing. The publisher received so many requests to know what happened to Ruby. So she said, you have to do a follow-up. And that has to be the greatest compliment on earth.
Absolutely, DIANN. And of course, I read Rise and wrote a testimonial for it. And I'm just excited for the follow-up. So well done, you.
Thank you.
As you know, today's show, we're going to be talking about styling, branding, color. For many reasons, defer to black a lot, and I get some feedback from people say, why are you always in black? Because it's easy. I go in, I go black, there it is, I grab it. And our guest today is in a bright pink, which I love. When we wear color, I think it really has an impact on our mood and also to what we're putting out in the world. But it used to be, I'll be 60, can you believe it, next month too, in March, that black was like sexy and glamorous, and you could be thin, you could hide some of that fat. So I don't know. We're going to find out what the latest is when it comes to styling and branding. And I just would love for you to share, because you have had a career not only as an educator, but also on stage. Tell us a little bit about styling and branding and color when it comes to being a presenter on a stage in front of hundreds or thousands of people.
Absolutely. I am so excited about our guest today because she's talking about something that I am actually passionate about, and And so I believe you have to know your audience, and based on your audience, if I'm presenting like an award or receiving an award, I'm going to be dressed appropriately for that. I know when I was running for Miss Texas, that's when I really started learning about the importance of color in fashion and what you're conveying to the audience when you wear a gown or a certain dress to a restaurant and so forth. So, and then which colors complement your skin. So it's going to be really great to hear what she has to say. And also how the color changes. What looked good at 23 isn't necessarily your colors for your age today. So I'll be excited to hear what she has to say about that. And also when it comes to branding for your own personal style for your company, that's important too, because it was a reflection of what you're trying to get across. And so I spent a lot of time learning about that, and hopefully I've done well with the colors I chose, which was primary colors, because children love primary colors. And as a children's author, that's what I want to do, is make the children, oh my gosh, pizzazz. So there you go, Dr. JACALYN.
Thank you so much, Diane. We're going to bring out right now, Claire Chen is an international brand stylist and visual strategist. Welcome, Claire. Hello.
Hello, everyone. Hello, ladies. I'm so excited to be on the show today. And thank you so much, Dr. JACALYN. I'm a fan of your show. And Dr. Diane, of course, I actually also listened of your the show yesterday. I want to say congratulations to your book launch. And that's just so empowering.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. And Claire, tell our audience where you're joining from.
So I'm calling from Toronto, Canada. So it's actually currently snowing today, but I always love the vibe. And that's why I always think that when the weather is not so nice, how can you wear color to really boost your moods? And that's the first thing of why whenever I have to get online, whenever I have to do something, even going out, what are colors can really invoke our emotion. So that's why when I woke up today, I'm like, oh my God, it's sort of snowing, it's -2. How can I wear color that really represent my personality and really showcasing me when I'm actually jumping on live? So here I am.
It's so funny. I love that you shared that, because based on your personality and how you're showing up today, I thought she's in someplace really hot and exotic,
Totally the opposite.
So Claire, that brings up a point that I really love to discuss, because growing up, we were always told, you can only wear white until this time of year. After Memorial Day, no more white. And,
Right.
Don't wear skirts that are this length after a certain age. Tell us a little bit about that. Are these things still valid when it comes to style and personal branding?
I hear you. So, there's so many misconceptions. I mean, there's so many different myths when we see colors, styles, and what people say. And my way, it's always like, first, you have to really understand who you are as a person. There's no such things as like right or wrong, because I'm a very free spirit person. So I think is that you have to find your core, what color really works for you. So for example, you mentioned, okay, there's certain time people used to say, you can only wear white at certain time because, after Memorial Day, you cannot wear that. Or usually people, I heard when you say, well, you always stick with black. I love black because black is such a powerful, confident color. But you always have to think, if you're wearing black and your clothes majority have like 90% of black, then you kind of have to think, does it really make you excited? That is the thing you need to ask yourself. And sometimes people will say, oh, if I wear black, it's going to make me look thinner. Vice versa, that is not always true, because it's all about how to embracing yourself, your personality. How can you showcase who you are, and using color contracts or even just play with like different textile. You may like black, for example, which is fine. I love black. When I used to work in cosmetics, I can only wear black, but even though black is not always my color palette, but I always learn how to really play with color texture, play velvet, even just adding some textile to it. Black can be really strong. So you just have to always understand what are some of your core colors. And I think this is going to really help you as an everyday when you're like getting up, dressing up, going to the office, building your personal brand, showing up online. always ask yourself, what are 3 of your core colors? And then you go back and look at your color palette and then see, okay, what am I having currently? Is it really aligning with me? If not, then you want to try to start maybe elevate colors a little bit differently.
Excellent. Excellent. Thank you so much for sharing that. Many times I've thought to myself, I'm not really feeling as confident. I've got to go out and present. This is when I was in corporate. And if I wear red, I'm really being a phony. I know red will make me feel empowered, but I'm not feeling it myself, right? It's this negative self-talk that we tell ourselves. Or if you're not feeling great about yourself and you put on pink, people are probably going to be more drawn to looking at you because you're going to stand out and look so pretty, but yet you don't feel it. So what do we do when we have these things come up for us and we're making that mental debate that goes back and forth, yes, no, yes, no? Should we just go with the yes and then just pull ourselves into that mindset?
I love this question. So I can totally resonate 100%. So back in the day when I used to work in corporate in fashions, and then I always get so, paranoid. And on top of that, I feel very insecure because sometimes it's like, if I wear this color, if I'm doing this, is it too much? And as a woman, I always feel like we are so self-judgmental about the way how we look because we care so much of attention, what people think of us. And sometimes it's just like, initially, that you want to try something. So for example, maybe you want to try a yellow dress and you're like, but okay, if I put this on, people might think, who do you think you are? Maybe this is too much. Am I trying to get attention? And then right away, instead of that, you switch back to the black, or you end up buying another black dress. Maybe it's not something exciting, but you feel like that is very secure because everyone in the party room, everyone's wearing black. Or in the ballroom, majority is wearing black, which is fine. I always say is, you want to really measure how comfortable and how can you step forward 2 steps. I'm not saying like you have to go extremes, but if there's a mind that you're telling yourself, I really want to feel different, I really want to try certain color palettes, then it's sort of like, how can you stop judging yourself internally and try to embrace it, that funness of who you are. And in this way, you can really start to play with color, add in a little bit, because we live in colors. Think about it. Everything we see is color. The food we eat, when we travel, when seasons change, everything we see, we're surrounded by colors. So regardless, it's not just the way how we show up, the way we dress up. Every time when you see something, colors around you. So how can you take that, inspiration and really injecting who you are as the way how you show up? This is actually going to change you very differently with the mindset. And every time when you think about, okay, maybe someone going to say that, my colleague might say something, stop yourself, because at the end of the day, you have to get comfortable first by stepping 2 forwards and then try it. And if you don't like it, what's the worst? You just remove it and go back to whatever color that made you comfortable. So that is always the tip that I work with my client. I always tell them you have to embrace it and then stop judging yourself so hard, because if you don't try, you never know.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Diann, I want to get over to you. I just want to mention that, Claire, you have a master's degree. You speak 5 languages and you've worked with some of the biggest brands in the world. And so you really are an expert when it comes to these topics.
I do. I mean, I came from the background of like makeup artistry. And then I spent my early time start my professional career as a makeup artist, and I moved to London, UK in my early 20s. And then after that, I decided I want to move to Milan, Italy, where I did my master's degree in fashion stylings. And I always just be so fascinated when it comes to traveling with color, food, culture, languages, and of course, fashions, right? And it just, I was always very fascinated just how colors really work. And then, of course, I always felt that, language is a way of how we can really express it. And that just kind of really take me a little bit of everything from, working as makeup artist, as stylist, as a visual merchandiser and buyer, and spend a lot of time, in retail operation as well, and working the corporates. And of course, I would just say that my entrepreneurship journey it wasn't so easy too. It wasn't something that I just like wake up, okay, I want to be entrepreneurs. But there's of course there were lots of changes personally. And that's why I knew, even when you talked about sometimes women's, we get very insecure the way how we show up. And I could resonate that, because a few years ago, when I first shifted myself online and then came from the corporate background, I was also have a lot of anxieties, and then I was also suffering about, the way how I show up. And then sometimes that when you go to the office, what you want to put up certain weights, but maybe you don't feel always aligned. And it took me such a struggle that, okay, you know what? I want to be myself. This is how I am. As I'm a someone who's very talkative. I love people. I love colors. And it really took me the way now that, you know what? I have to first impress myself before I impress other people. And this is why I've been like really teaching some of my clients that how can you really start to, when you build your personal brand, you have to first realign who you are, starting, maybe little detail, the way you show up, the way you dress, and then how can you use colors correctly? And then really try to think of yourself as like, okay, how can I empower my audience? How can I show up stronger? When you actually change that mindset, it makes everything so much easier, because you no longer care about like what people really think. Especially we live in the fast pace that, we're on social all the time. There's a lot of comparison. Look at what people, how they dress. Look at like what they're wearing, how they're showing up, how they're highlighting. And sometimes it can be so overwhelming. So I always say that realign who you are, starting internally. It can be a little piece of the things you wear, it can be the way how you show up. And once you have those little things all aligned together, you're going to show out so much confidence. And that's how the little thing that I've learned throughout my whole journey from, working in a corporate and now shift myself as online entrepreneurs.
Very nice.
Yeah, excellent.
What you're really saying is colors is communication. And based on the colors you choose for that particular moment is making a statement. And I really love that.
Yes.
I really think it's true.
Yeah, I love that as well.
Kind of simplified everything.
I want to ask a question that has always kind of been in the back of my head. Do your lipstick and nail polish, they still have to match, or is that out the door? Because I noticed that yours do match.
Thank you for noting the detail. I always say that, you want to make sure that colors are coordinated. You want to play color, but not too overwhelming. And then you always want to pay attention. What do you want people to focus on? For example, I'll use me as an example today. So I have a little bit pink lipsticks, and then I try to find lipstick color that really matching my lipstick, but it's not too overpowering. I have the more the pastel blazer. So imagine I have a very strong black blazer. It can come out a little bit, message can come out a little bit too strong. Or if I wear red, that could, like, people just like, okay, there's a lot going on, So it's always about choose 1 to 2 color that you want people to focus on. I'm not saying you have to wear something very loud, but it can be, little earrings, could be your lipstick. Lipstick is something that can really enhance your skin complexion. And vice versa, if you're going to wear nail colors, I always say that try to match the lip color and your nail color, try to be coordinate. You don't want to have such a strong contrast, because especially when you are in the TV present, what do you want people to focus on? You want them to really pay attention the way how you show up, what your message is about. Those little details of the color is just a way to bring the attention to focus on you. So imagine if I have way too much of stuff that's on my face, on my wardrobe, I'm going to lose focus. People are going to lose focus at the end of life. What should I be really focusing on? So that's what I want to share with you, that, my color palette is that I try to play with the same color palette. I have a little bit of red in here, as you can see. I have the pastel blazer. I play with a little bit of pink lipstick and then play with my nails. So I use that as one of my coat color. I use the yellow just to kind of pop. So when people listen to me, they're really focusing on my upper for like from my neck to my head. So there's not so much of attention for them to like get distracted. So I hope that makes sense.
Absolutely.
Yes, absolutely makes sense.
You reminded me of the phrase. I haven't thought about it in a while, but it was one that was very common in my modeling days, and that was You wear the dress does not wear you. So if you wear a dress, it's just like, oh my gosh, your dress, and everyone's just, okay, that dress is great, but what about me? Right? And the earrings, earrings, necklaces, if they're so overpowering, that old saying, I think it's still true. So tell me what you think, that simple is more. Do we still use that?
Absolutely. I always say that don't go for something that is not right for you. So if you're someone who's very minimalistic, don't try to go for something so bold because you're not going to feel comfortable. Okay. So vice versa, if you're someone who's very maximalistic, then of course you go for something a bit bolder, right? So I always say, at the end of the day, measure who you are, what makes you feel comfortable. And I always say that's why when you build a style, even that link with your personal style and personal branding, that needs to come inside you, like deep down. And I would say, yes, less is more. There's nothing wrong. You can just keep it very minimalist, simple, elegant without not saying too much, because and that's fine. You can add the little details such as okay, a little lipstick can be a high heeled. It can be, you can wear something so simple, clean palette, just a pastel color, but you wear like, for example, shoes, just adding a little bit pop of color. That can show a lot of sophistication and elegancy. So I do agree. Sometimes less is more is great. But always go back to, how do you want people to remember you as? That's the one thing I want to leave on the table.
I love that.
Yeah, I do too. Thank you. I just want to tap into what we were listening to, what you were sharing about color. And I think it's interesting when I'm doing the promotions for the shows and now I'm redoing all of the graphics, like what you see behind Diane and myself will be gone. We'll have something new, that the color that you use, for example, if I were to put fashion, travel, and fitness in red, okay, that sends one message. If I put it in black, that sends another message. If I put it in black with yellow around it. And so I have to spend a lot of time really thinking through this. I have to look at it from this perspective, then I have to take a step back, then full screen. And that, I feel, is the same thing about us when we are dressing ourselves, when we're pulling ourselves together. What is the message that we're conveying? And is it important, or is it just important to us instead of the judgment of what other people think? If you have on red lipstick and red nails and you have blue hair, what message are you conveying? And so when we think about simplicity, what about for people who are not interested, they want to be out there, look at me, here I am? What advice or direction do you have for them when it comes to color psychology?
I love this question. So I would always say that at the end of the day, we want to feel free. We want to be ourselves. But I want to share this message, which is actually sometimes people get misconception when you actually thinking about building a personal brand and building a brand like from little things such as banners, building the products, how you want to work with your visual communication, and what kind of message you really want to share to your audience or maybe potential audience, for examples, right? And that is very different when you actually, showing up as your personal brands and how you actually plug in the branding aspects. Because when you are building a product brand, for example, which you talked about, you have this TV channel and then you're thinking about rebranding, but you don't want to take away what you already built. Then you want to really think about, okay, who am I really trying to talk to? Am I trying to talk to Gen Z, generation that they're in their early 20s? What kind of emotion, what do they buy into, what kind of colors they really get them exciting when they see it? Or vice versa, you're talking women who are much more mature, who are in the late 30s, 40, 50. What are some of the colors, emotion that really when they see, they can feel like, okay, I'm really connected to that color? I would say think about yourself. When you go out and shop, right? Let's say we're talking about fashion and style today. I'll just use an example from my previous career experience. When you go to a fragrance or you go to like YSL Marni Lowe's beauty counter, there's always a color that they probably promote of the season, even in, like Valentine. There's a core color they really want to target into the audience, because they know that their core audience will be women in their probably, mid 20 or even later on to 50 plus. That is their signature color that they always have. When they're trying to bring into the new target, like like women, girls in their early 20, the color tend to be a little bit more bubbly, it's a little bit more fun, more fun pink. And that is how they use your campaign. They build their brand in specific color to really promote the emotion before actually saying anything. So that really answers your question. You have to always think about, okay, what am I playing with my text, my font, my background color, and what kind of emotion I'm really trying to say to people before I even say anything. Am I trying to creating something that's like, empowering, confidential, or something sexy, or something really it's more like emotional? You want to really think about it, those kind of colors when you're actually creating the banners, when you're creating your product lines. Then that's a little bit different. But when you are someone who are so strong, that you want to shout out to the world, but which is great. You can. I always say that we live in a world that we're so free. You're allowed to dress whatever you want, but you always also have to understand the bottom line. At the end of the day, who are you trying to target to? So you can still show that boldness, fearless personality by dressing stuff that's like, head to toe, lots of colors. But it's always just about playing it right, because sometimes people don't understand, and then perception can get it wrong. So maybe you are someone who's actually bold, you're very, bubbly, you're talkative, you're someone who has a lot of opinions. But how can you also don't go overboard by just, like still really showcasing your personality, but not being to the top? Because when you're being to the top, it can get a little bit overwhelming, can get a little bit intimidating, and people can walk away. So those are just a little tip that I want to share with you, and just to differentiate what is it when you actually show one as your personal brand, and when you actually create a brand aspect of how you want to target and sell to your audience. So I hope that kind of makes sense.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it absolutely does. I think we have maybe 7 or 8 television shows just on what you shared. So one thing that I want to share, I was also a makeup artist for years. Diane, you know this, and I've shared this story before, but I think it warrants sharing again. When I would work, it was Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday, those nights, and then during the day. It was a part-time job. Anyway, this woman would come in and she would purchase green eyeshadow every time she would come in, and then she would return it to a different counter, and then she'd buy green from it, and this went on. And finally she came to my counter to return the green, and she was wearing green eyeshadow and red lipstick. And so when I got her in the chair and just started speaking to her, she wanted to be noticed. She felt like she was invisible and her husband wasn't paying any attention to her. So that's how she was trying to get his attention. And we do that, right? We feel insecure, so we wear something really bold, like one of the major designers. They have a very busy pattern. As soon as you see it, you know who it is. But do we want that kind of attention? Is that making us feel better? Are we getting the self-care that we need by wearing green eyeshadow and red lipstick together?
I love this question, and I can totally resonate back in the days. Used to work in cosmetic counters, and then you just see so many women that they carry differently. But I always can sense it when I sit them down, when I have a consultation, when I did the makeover. I can feel how confident and how insecure they are. Maybe they don't show, but just by when you're trying a new color on it, they'll be like, oh, no, that's not me. I cannot wear that. No, my husband cannot like that. Oh, I'm going to wear that because I want to be the attention of the show. So this also really shares you that the personality of the person. And sometimes I always say that, women inside, we have a desire that we all want to be noticed. We all want to have the attention. We want to share the word. We want to share our opinion. We want to be heard. We want to be seen. But in reality, sometimes we might feel a little bit invisible. That's why we use the way how we dress, the lipstick colors, or eyeshadow, or going for something really crazy, which I think is fun. But I always say that you have to really go back, like what you do, if it's creating that insecurity inside you, but you just want to get the attentions. What kind of attention you're trying to create? Are you trying to create a negative attention, or you trying to create a positive attention? You want people to talk about you, or you want the people to talk about you in a good way, that, oh my God, I love this woman, like she's so bold, she's, and then the way how she carry herself is like, well, she's wearing a green eyeshadow, she's wearing a very bold purple lipsticks, and but the way how she carries herself is so confident, and she has this like careless, fearless, she doesn't even care. And that's the attitude. So this is what I want to share with women is what kind of attitude. At the end of the day, no one really cares. What I've learned now, I'm in my 40s, student days, like no one really cares. But the thing is, how do you care yourself? What kind of attitude do you want to show it out there? So for women, sometimes that, okay, you might want to get attention from your loved one because you feel like, you know what, I'm not getting the attention I need. Then instead of like, okay, think about, your past experiences, why you're not getting that attention from your loved one, and then going to that old psychological behavior, and then okay, it could be, the way how you being dressing up. If you show like every day you it's like a part of self-care. Every day you wake up, you have your hair messy. Just like think about pandemic time. No one wants to actually dress up because we work at home all the time. We work at home. And pajama become the things. Lunchwear become the thing. No one even cares to put makeup on or lifted on. And that's just another thing that's become like a self-care and personal behavior. But I remember that those days when we were locked down, I told myself, regardlessly, I do it for myself first. I don't really care, even no one sees me, but it's the way how I feel. I can get motivated. Is I can feel much better. And that's why sometimes you need to ask yourself, what is your behavior from the past? And then from there, you want to show up, you want to get attention, but inside you also need to feel confident. You need to also approve who you are before people approve you. So that's just a little tip that I want to share with women. So think about the right attitudes.
Excellent. I love that. Diann, what are your thoughts?
I agree completely. Again, it's communication. And then also when you stated you dressed for you, not for, even though no one else saw you, you dressed for you so you'd feel good about the day. And I love that because it's so easy for us to get lazy and then we transfer it to when the world opened back up. I think everybody was wearing their pajamas to the grocery store still, that they forgot that, oh yeah, I have to actually wear clothes today.
Yeah, it's something I want to add to that. I notice, when I'm not broadcasting, I'm sitting at the table doing the administrative work, and I still want to be dressed a certain way, because if I'm not dressed a certain way, I don't have the energy. Like for example, if I was wearing a robe and I was sitting at my computer, I would just feel like all hunched in and I don't have the energy to do what it is I need to do. So I need to have freedom of movement I don't say it's crazy, but it makes a big difference. So I find how I show up for myself has an impact on how productive I am, how good I feel about myself, and really what I take away from that experience or from that day.
Absolutely. I agree. Great.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I just want to throw in there that, and that's in all workplaces. So if a teacher comes to school and she isn't dressed professionally, this is my own personal opinion, it's a reflection to the kids. Well, if she doesn't, dress as, dress, I call it dress to learn. Then why should I dress to learn? And I think that you're a role model. So if you dress nicely, generally your students are going to start dressing nicely too. I almost hated it when schools changed to where they had pajama day, and then costume day. And I'm like, that takes away from learning, even though I know the goal was supposed to be, oh, we're making learning fun. But I'm all about, you're there to learn. Let's get busy. We can still have fun, but we're going to learn. So the color of the day happens to be pink.
I love it.
I love that too. I have a follow up to what you're talking about, Diane. This is something that happened to me in corporate, and I'm sure it's still going on places. But coming from the East Coast of the United States, you know, I grew up in Pennsylvania. It's close to New York, very fast paced, right? So I was always in a suit, and I had really long acrylic nails that I had. What did they call them? I don't remember what they would paint, like zebra stripes and things. I don't know
Oh
what it was.
yeah, I used to love to do that.
And I was
Nail
working
art.
for a company that was headquartered somewhere else. I'm not going to say, but they were not on the East Coast. And I was always told many times by executives, you need to tone it down. And I would say, but why do I need to tone it down? Because you're going to intimidate people. But my clients are on the East Coast. That's where they live. They don't live here where the headquarters is. And so I stopped wearing red lipstick, stopped wearing red nail polish. I dyed my hair brown so I could fit in. And it wasn't me. And I felt like I couldn't be as productive and I wasn't being authentic. So do we have to fit into somebody else's world the way we style ourselves?
Yeah, that's such a great question because when you think about these days, right? We are still trying to fit in. The fact is that sometimes we don't have the gut, just like, okay, you know what? This is not working out. I don't really want to fit in. I want to find my own sense of belonging. And this is actually, I talk a lot on my content. Is as a woman, how can you stop fitting in? How can you stop being apologizing who you are? Just a little thing, my nails, my lipstick, too much Botox, or the way how I dress. And the thing is, sometimes you just have to think is, you know what? If it's not meant to be, it's not for you. How can you set your boundary and just say no? Because I always feel like life is so short, right? When you're trying to fit in, which I had, and I knew what was it like, you knew that you are not fully yourself. And in order to really live fully confident, it's not just about superficial the clothes you wear. Of course, internally and externally, it really need to be aligned. So that's why you always have to set yourself a boundary. Okay, if this is not really right, and the way how I dress, or maybe you have a speaking engagement, and there's the audience really completely the opposite than people are much more intimate, and then they're more laid back, and you're someone who just bring a lot of energy, and then you're someone who like to bring attention, bring a lot of color, bring a lot of lights. Then that's not you. Then if you're trying to fit in, you're not going to feel comfortable, because on the stage you're going to feel like you're stuck. So I always say being mindful, and it's okay to reject it, because when you are trying to fit in for long term, you're going to feel issue with your mental health. You're not going to feel comfortable. You're not going to be expressive of who you really are. So what I want to share this and then put this message out with people, for women, stop trying to find a way of like fitting in. If you know that doesn't belong to you, just say no, and then you will find another door that's open for you. And that's what I would say. Yes.
I love that.
That's brilliant. I love that. We do have a couple of comments. Push Child Foundation in Uganda. Thanks for the show. Thanks for being with us. We appreciate you. And Ted Lepatka. Okay. All right, Ted. Okay to you as well. Something that just popped into my mind. I'm here with my lipstick, which I'm not a paid spokesperson, so I'm not going to say what the brand is.
Oh,
I love it.
No, we're not going to. It's one of my favorite ones. Yes, I see that the case.
That's so funny. So the reason why I bring this up is this is a beautiful case. You probably can see it, right? And now you can actually have it engraved, and there's a price that goes with it, right? So it's at the end. It's at the end, and I need to do something. And so I can go to the drugstore, and I definitely have makeup from the drugstore, okay, that I'd say to myself, you know what? I'm not going to spend XYZ. But when it comes to this lipstick, I don't know what it is, but I'm going to purchase another one of these. The same thing, even though it might be 3 times as much money as what I could get at the drugstore. And maybe it's going to look exactly the same, but it's how I feel when I'm wearing it. So I would like to also add that even if you're on a budget, you can have one piece, one something that you splurge on to make yourself feel good. And Claire, I'd love for you to just share with us, people are going through challenging times. We can read about massive credit card debt, inflation, sky high food prices. What about wearing clothes that are vintage or that we can purchase from a secondhand shop? What about that? Because I'm really big on that. And Diane, I think you might be as well. So tell us a little bit more. Yay!
Yay, I love it. So I always say that, we've been talking about, stylings and personal branding, color psychologies. And my philosophy is always been that you don't have to go and buy everything new. You don't have to spend a big budget if you don't have, because that's not how I actually share my message on social media. I always say that, how can you repurpose? How can you start to using what you already have and recreate several different looks? Even when you're showing online, you have to get on live, doing videos. Sometimes that I just feel like women, we have so much pressures now because you have online presence. Oh my God, in order to do so, I have to go in and revamp my whole wardrobe. So I would say, like, finding essential pieces that you can wear, you can use and recreate, simple blazers that can easily create 10 different outfits. Vintage, such a great way to do. Like, think about first is measure your budget, because right now, let's face it, recessions, everyone has a different budget, everyone has a different value. So you don't have to go, revamp. At the end of the day, is how you feel comfortable. You can start just to look for, secondhand store, thrift store. There are lots of things that, even I think about as, what is that, I'll say, can think of it right now. Oh, the TJ Maxx, for example. There are a lot of, retail chains that you can find stuff that is really just on the medium price or even lower. The whole point is, I want to share this with you, is when you go out and buy things, have a list. What is you're looking for? Because sometimes when you go to those stores, they're not like you go into a department store, not like Nordstrom's, right, or Saks. Everything is nice and labeled. You have the visual display, you have the windows. That really makes it easier for you to shop. But if you don't have those, you go into the chain store, everything is everywhere. Give yourself like a list. Think about just like grocery. You go into a grocery store, you're not going to buy everything. Think about what are the essential things that you're looking for today. So let's say you're looking for a simple blazer, because I love blazer. I have colors for all type of blazers. So you think of, okay, what a cup I want. Okay, what is the color I want? Okay, and then you go into that session. Okay, I'm looking for a dress. What type of dresses am I looking? The A-line. Understand your body shape also makes it much easier for you to go and shop those like secondhand stores, because there's just way too many choices. So by eliminates what you want, what you need, put that on the list. It makes it so much easier. And this actually apply for not just for women's, it's also apply for men as well. And I think once you have like narrowed down list, it makes it so much easier, and you actually consume your time so much better, because time is money. So you want to value your time, so not taking so much time by shopping. And then I would say, go back to understand what current wardrobe you have, and then instead of like rebuying, because sometimes women, we just buy too much and then we don't end up using everything. So go back and remeasure. And then I always say detoxing. If whatever that is not work for you anymore, if you feel like you're elevated, your profession, your lifestyle is getting to the next level, stop just recycling, detoxing. It's also a way to like learn yourself from detachment. That is another thing I want to share with you. And I say like makeup, right? Makeup is just, we spend so much also on makeup. At the end of the day, again, go into your lifestyle. You don't always have to go for something expensive, fancy, prestige that spend $40, $50 to $60. Measure where you are right now, and then use that little budget. You can buy stuff that's just a drugstore. It's also a way to boost yourself. The whole day is that you need to feel self-confidence, self-acceptance, not just about spending a lots of money and max out your credit card. So I hope that helps.
Yes, that definitely helps. And just right here around my studio, I have a few clothing items, and I thought, I'm just going to show these. I'm going to spotlight myself for 1 second. These are all from thrift stores. So these shoes you can see,
my God.
right?
Yeah, I love it.
Thrift store.
Yeah.
This shoe, it's great for airports. This was $10. This is Franco I forget, Sarto or something.
Oh,
Anyway,
Franco, yes.
this was also from a
Oh,
thrift
this is
store,
cute.
and so is this, right?
Oh my God!
These are
Wow.
brands that you know, right?
Yes.
So I paid a fraction of what I would have paid if I bought them from a major department store. So I think it's also important sustainability. And when it comes to fashion, more and more people are looking into this. What I think is so amazing is I think it was this one I got from a company that started out in Beverly Hills and online. This is years and years ago. And now their secondhand bags are in Neiman Marcus. They have their own section of Neiman Marcus for secondhand bags. Is that amazing?
Amazing.
It is.
Amazing.
Incredible.
Yes.
They have such an incredible quality control and authenticity checks to make sure that they're the real deal. So if you want a Gucci bag, for example, not a paid spokesperson, you could get it secondhand for a fraction of the price.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
Yeah, there's somebody creating a whole new market. I mean, did you ever
Yes.
think you'd walk into Neiman Marcus and see secondhand product?
Yeah, actually, because even for previously, I did work for a company that was based in Montreal, and they are like, designers, consignment stores, and they really do like controlling about products when it comes to designer goods. So they do all the authentications and then really check out, like the level of like level A, B, C, D, and then that's when you actually pay different prices. So I think it's that if you are into secondhand designer products, then you always just want to see like what is the scaling that you want to pay, of course. And then there's a lot of things that is actually vintage. I have to say, these days when you buy the newest one, sometimes the quality of like constructions and then the detailings and then the way how they manufacture is not even the same when you compare like back in 10, 20 years ago, looking like, for example, like Ferragamo's, right? Those are some classic brands, but it's always check about the stitches. That's very important. When you buy a second-hand product, designers, check out how the stitches is being done, and then also all the buttons, the zippers, and then of course also the internal is how they actually stitch it the inside out. Those are little things that can just kind of tell you of how you can also be like an expert when you actually put your money into it. So that's just another things I want to share.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Thank you. That's a great tip. I know myself many years ago, I was running a store on eBay and I was selling my own designer things. I was running 60 auctions a week.
Yeah.
And I was shocked at what people would buy and where people were buying it from across the country, because at first I was selling only things that were in pristine condition. And then as I was looking around, it was just kind of like a rush. It's like, oh, I don't need that anymore. It's like whether I need it or not, I was like, I'd rather sell it and have that whole rush of having somebody else enjoy it. And so as time went on, I had a lot of costume necklaces from Chanel that, of course, not a paid spokesperson, and they would have, from sitting on my neck, they'd have moisturizer or hairspray, which I don't use anymore. And I would put this, pictures, and this is what the case, and people would buy them. They would buy them and enjoy them and give me a good write-up. So the point is that what we might not consider to be a pot of gold, right? Somebody else might. And it's about continuing the journey of these wonderful products that we get so much enjoyment, and letting somebody else enjoy it as a second, third home, for example.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I love that.
So Claire, I would love to have you come back and meet with us again. I think there's so many other topics that we've just really just hit the surface level on. So would you be open to doing that as I ask you live on television?
Absolutely. I think my goal is really about empowering women. How can we really all come together? And then I think that's like when we are really supporting, empowering women one another, the message, the power gets so much stronger. So it will be my pleasure. So thank you so much for having me today.
Thank you so much. And
Thank
before
you.
we go, I would love for you to share with people, how do you work with your clients? And do you work with clients anywhere in the world? How does that work for you?
Yes, so I currently have a branding agency with my business partner, Joseph. And so we are specialized in branding development. So we really help female founders who are in the space of like beauty, fashion, and wellness So either you are a personal brand that has a service base or product based. So what we help you is to really take that confusion into, concept, into reality, by helping you to develop the traditional way how you bring yourself into digitally. So it's really about 660 degree of transformation and helping you to change the impact of your consumer journeys. So you can really find me on LinkedIn. You can find me on Instagram. I'm very active on Instagram. We also have a podcast. It's called the Digital Bosses Podcast, where we drop the podcast every Monday. So we covered about entrepreneurship, leadership, and branding and content marketing, and there's much, much more. And if you'd like to get in touch for more collaboration, partnership, or anything that I can also support your journey in your business, more than welcome to connect me on LinkedIn at Claire Chen. And then you can find me also on Instagram, which is Claire Brand Stylist. And then you can also search the Digital Bosses, where is our agency and the podcast. So thank you so much for your time, everyone.
Thank you so much, Claire.
Thank you.
Well, while we close out the show, would you please go over to private chat and drop in that contact information that you referenced so that we can put it into the comments for people? That would be fantastic. Diann, how can people contact you, and who would you like to reach out to you?
Sure. Anyone who loves to be inspired, my children's books as well as my young readers' books are books for you. And you can also find out how I can come to your schools or your children's schools, speak at different events just by going to my name, DIANNFloydBOEHM. And for those who are listening, it's DIANNFLOYDBOEHM.com. Thank you, Dr. JACALYN.
Thank you so much, Diann. And thank you, Claire. We already had your information. I didn't scroll up far enough. I already have it here. Here's Claire's information. So it is out there on the comments on all the platforms. It's been there since we started. You can reach out to Claire on LinkedIn. Also, on the website, www.thedigital, digital bosses, bosses.com, and also on Apple. You can also find Digital Bosses podcast. So thank you again, Claire. Thank you so much. Thank you, Diann. It's been a pleasure being here with both of you. And I'll look forward to, obviously, Diann, seeing you next. Will you be live on Sunday?
Yes.
Okay, Sunday is our anniversary show. So I'll just say goodbye to the two of you right now and just share some information with our audience about some of the things going on here.
Happy Friday. Have a great week.
Friday.
Bye, everybody.
Thank you. Bye. All right. Thank you to each and every one of you who are watching or listening. This is a really big weekend coming up for me and also for USA Global TV and Radio and all of our team members. So let me just share what is going on. On Saturday, this Saturday at 4 o'clock Eastern Time, 9 p.m. Greenwich Mean Time, we are launching our next book in our children's book series. Let me share with you what that is. We have a book series called The Amazing Adventures of Lady Ella, the Listening Mentor. The book on the left is already available for sale. We launched it last month. It became an Amazon #1 new release the same day. And the book on the right is being launched on Saturday on Amazon. And that is called Lady Ella's ABCs of Listening. Both of these books are really important in terms of helping children learn how to listen. And all of the animal characters that you see on the book covers represent real people who are committed to helping children and their families learn how to listen at an elevated level. So I would love your support. If you could go over to Amazon and pre-order your ebook for Lady Ella's ABCs of Listening, get your paperback and your hardback on the actual 14th. As I mentioned, the other book on the left is available right now in ebook, paperback, and hardback. Okay, that's Saturday. On Sunday is our first year anniversary show. It's hard to believe it's been 1 year since we're USA Global TV, and we weren't USA Global TV and radio as we are now. So all of our branding is changing. But you will see people like DIANN and other team members and guests who will have 15 minutes to promote their work and really share the value that they are offering to our audiences. So I hope that you will join us. We'll be live streaming for 5 hours starting at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, 4 p.m. Greenwich Mean Time, 5 p.m. Central European Time. And we would love to have you join us on a future show. If you've been a guest on our platform, you can join us for our reunion show, which will be sometime in the spring. So thank you again for joining us and watching and listening and spreading the word. We have a lot of people who are referring people to our platform, and that means so much because we want to hear your story and have you feel safe in sharing with us. All right, we're signing off for now. We have a number of shows that we normally would be running on Friday, but interestingly enough, our team members are on holiday. They've got something else going on. So we will be back at 3 p.m. Eastern Time, which is 8 p.m. Greenwich Mean Time, 9 p.m. Central European Time for Pet Psychic Amina. Thanks again. Look forward to seeing you then. Bye.